So now let's have a look at the verbal game aspect of this date. And this should serve as a pretty good example in a lot of ways for how to deal with foreign girls or girls whose English isn't that good, that kind of stuff. This girl's English is pretty decent, but a lot of the same principles will apply to girls whose English is far worse. But with that said, let's crack into it and see what we find. How you doing? I love that look. You're like, is this, he's attractive. Is this the one? I don't know. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Amazing.
Yeah. Never come here, so.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Where your accent French? You
yes.
sound
yeah,
kind of oddly German.
I'm completely French.
Really? Interesting.
Yes. So you will have to speak slowly.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is an interesting context for this observation since this is a date and not a cold approach. But I did a lot of the same things as you would do on a cold approach at the start of this date. One is I was very willing to change topics a lot and not stick on one thing. Number two, I was very expressive. Number three, and this is what I kind of wanted to point out, is I went off of what I call the first unusual thing. Whenever I'm walking up to someone cold, usually I just open with hi. And then based on their expression, their accent, their mannerisms, their tone of voice, something like that, I'm going to notice whatever's unusual and I'm going to go off that and I'm going to use that as the seed for the conversation. Right? And by doing that, you always have something to say, and it's always relevant to them. So that's kind of what I did here with her accent. Okay, so it's that principle of notice the first unusual thing and make that the topic of conversation. It's a great thing to always have something to say. I'll be very slow, very sweet. Shall we?
Yeah.
Oh man. So being French, does that mean you're very snobby about your wine?
Yeah, I don't like the wine here.
You don't like the wine here?
No, I prefer drinking beer.
Okay. Fair enough.
What about you?
I don't have the most sophisticated wine palate. I like whatever's fun and tasteful. How you doing? Get a wine and beer menu? Thanks. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm walking too much, but it's okay.
I'm sorry. You need more time to relax, chill out, hang out.
Yeah, I think I spend like more than 60 hours a week in the lab, but I came for that. So
Did you love it though?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's really
I can't do that look like, yeah.
I love what I'm doing, but I hate my boss, and she
yeah.
drives me crazy.
Fair enough.
I love going there during the weekends.
Okay, can I do the Riesling and...
I think I'm gonna have Riesling.
Okay.
Riesling right now, sorry.
Okay, what did you want?
I'll get the Omega white beer. Yes.
Omega White? I don't know how to pronounce it, but yes. Cheers. Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry. Put that away. Now you seem so cosmopolitan yet so like innocent at the same time because the whole small town thing. Although I think anybody from Europe, you grow up faster in Europe than in the US.
I don't think so.
No?
No. I've been here for 2 years and I'm like 5 years already.
It seems like it's been 5 years?
Yeah. I'm getting older too fast in this city.
Oh, worth it.
I had my first white hairs and
Oh, poor girl. You're alright, you still look young.
young. Oh no, you.
How old am I? 34.
34.
Yeah. And you? I
I'm
forgot.
gonna be 30 this year.
Congratulations.
How is it?
How is 30?
Still okay?
Every single year of my life has been better than the year before. So
I know you're thinking about it too.
What's true for me?
until I came to New York. And it was just all downhill.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you had asked me last year, I would say no. I hate New York, but now.
I understand the outdoor thing. Beyond that, maybe you just need the right people to show you around.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm traveling more now. So.
I didn't even see that one. That's what I'm saying.
So you grew up in Colorado and then?
Yes, which is probably similar to you because it's like very outdoors, right? It's like hiking, skiing, that kind of stuff. Then I went to school in Texas for 2 years, then upstate New York for 2 years.
Where upstate? I have a friend. She
I looked at RIT or where? Or I looked at there. I studied engineering, so once upon a time, long ago. The point I want to make here is that when you are asked a question, you do not have to give a literal answer to it. That is not a requirement, okay? This is not a court of law. You are not like sworn to an oath, and you are not going to be, nobody's going to object if you dodge a question or if you answer a question in a different or artistic way. In fact, it's usually preferred, right? So she said, how was 30, right? I'd be like, oh, 30 was a good year. That's a boring answer, right? Or, you know, something directly about it. I can't think of anything interesting there, but it's an opportunity for me to convey good things about my life. Actually, to be fair, every single year has been better than the year before it. That's a sign of an interesting life, right? You do not have to give a direct answer to a direct question. It helps if you're on the subject, if you're on the topic, but even if you didn't want to do that, you don't have to. If she's like, so how was 30? Like, wait, is that a red car I just saw out there? You could even change the subject that way, okay? There are no rules and restrictions. There is no linearity requirement in conversation. You can even go completely off topic. But the point I'm making here is, even if you do answer the question, you don't have to literally answer the question asked. Sometimes you can answer what she meant to ask from the, you know, as you're communicating on a woman level with her, you can answer that. Or sometimes you can answer the more interesting question she should have asked, or sometimes you can answer the thing you wish she would have asked because it's more favorable to you, okay? Don't get caught up in being too logical and set. Part of me thinks that you're like crazy sweet and innocent, but I just don't at the same time. Actually, so here's a really interesting random question. So when you hadn't read my profile and then you read that part of my profile, what was the thought in your mind?
Say it again.
When like you hadn't read that section of my profile and then you read it, what was the thought in your mind?
I don't know, like kind of honest, because most of the people in this website are there for the same thing as you are, but they don't admit it.
Interesting.
So yeah. And I actually had a drink with a friend on Wednesday, and we talked a lot about open relationships.
Yeah.
And most of people just don't want to admit it.
Yeah. Well, I think most of the time, most relationships kind of start that way anyway, but.
I don't know about here, but I feel like, yeah, it's less serious than in France, but in France everybody is cheating on everyone.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
They should admit that they have an open relationship and that's it.
Yeah. And this is why I love European girls.
Why?
I don't want to say smarter than American girls, more realistic than American girls, and also more like
I have the feeling that we don't want to get married at 25, and
yeah.
it's so American. All the American girls know they are fiancés and they want to get married, and the big dress.
Never?
My parents never been married.
Really?
My grandparents just divorced last year.
Okay.
It's not a French thing.
Not the French thing. All right, so this doesn't matter so much with this girl because her English is actually pretty decent, but one thing you will notice is that I'm doing a lot more talking with my hands, acting things out, being more animated. That's a natural response that I have when people don't speak English as well. I'll do this especially like a lot of times like certain Asian girls, like they're like more fobby and they don't speak as well. Or maybe some like Latina girls, especially if I'm like in a foreign country and I have to speak, or like when I was in the Czech Republic, a lot of girls there didn't speak so well. I'd start acting things out, being more animated, making it more clear with my gestures and actions what I'm saying, just to kind of help them along with the language. Now, not very necessary with this girl, it's just a natural inclination, so I'm doing it a little bit. But do notice that I am doing that. I'm going to quote you on that one time. Somebody's going to be like, I'm ready, be like, oh, no, the French don't do that.
You can say that.
Because you know the thing about being French, right? Forever and ever, or at least for the next 1,000 years, you guys, the French will be like the most culturally snobby, elite, like well-mannered nationality.
Actually, not really true.
Yeah. No, I don't mean that you actually are, but just the perception.
Yeah.
Like in English, if you say a word, like if you say a French phrase or whatever, it's like, oh, you're je ne sais quoi. They're like, oh, what the fuck? Oh, you what?
Like a cliché.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
It just seems so classy that like you could do the most awful things or be so uneducated or be so like that, but as long as you speak French, you're like, oh no, so classy, so smart.
It's good to know.
It's good. Yeah, you just get away with anything. And the accent, it's golden. That's why you should never learn perfect English. Keep the accent, just because like you'll get away with murder. It'll be great.
I think even if I try, I will never get better. So.
You're lucky. I wish I had an accent.
What kind of accent? You can fake it.
I could learn, yeah. I could. That'd be like truly, truly fake, right? Go take like an accent class, like learn to speak an
How
accent.
do you want to come from? I'm French, but I'm not sophisticated.
I'm not sophisticated.
I'm
sorry, it's really nice meeting you. I have to go.
Write on in your profile. Like you like hot girls.
I mean, I do. What hot is... I don't like a girl who has to try hard to be hot. I like the girl that rolls over next to you in bed, looks you in the eye, and just like, damn. Not the girl that has to spend like 3 hours being hot. That's not hot. That's like fake. Or the girl that has to spend $80,000 being hot. Either or. It's not the same thing.
10 minutes in the bathroom in the morning and I don't do anything with my hair. I'm sorry. They are at the weather decide.
You let the weather decide?
Yeah.
I could appreciate that. Good technique. I pointed this out in some of the other clips. Is repeating back to the girl what she just said. It does so many things, but basically, one way or another, it puts the onus on her to continue the conversation. And that can be good for passing a shit test. It can be good for getting her to elaborate. It can be good for if you notice that she said something a little risque and you're kind of like misinterpreting it sexually. But this technique, I do it a lot of just repeating back to the girl what she said. Very, very useful, very, very good technique to adopt. You seriously, like, you do these expressions that it's like the look that I used to do when I was like a little kid that got me into trouble and out of trouble both. So I'm speaking more simply with this girl. I'm not trying to be super, super clever, but that doesn't mean I don't do push-pulls, right? I still do give compliments and takeaways. I still do things like mini cold read, comment her expressions, all those normal gaming moves I'm still doing. I'm just not being quite as clever about it. I'm being a little more direct about it, that sort of a thing, okay? But the same general structure still applies even when the language is simpler.
I don't know you, so it's kind of weird, right? You might be used to that, but I'm not. So.
How do you mean?
I mean, we are talking, it goes well, but I don't really know you, so it's kind of shy.
Me too.
Yeah.
So shy.
I don't believe that.
Why not? Nobody ever believes me when I say that. Ever. Used to be. That was like okay, so...
But you make people comfortable.
Thank you.
That's really nice.
That's actually a really good compliment. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, you make me
Good. I like that. I hope I make you feel like comfortable enough.
enough to work.
Huh? I would never want you to be like I always feel like the best way for someone to be around someone is like comfortable but not completely comfortable. Because if you're too comfortable, you get lazy, and then you stop like being your best self.
I see.
Yeah.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
I'm not that comfortable yet, so.
Let me know. If we ever get too comfortable, we'll be like, okay, it was nice, it was fun. Pleasure meeting you. Be on your way now.
You just say I can do whatever I want. I'm French.
Yeah. Just do whatever. We'll just assume that's like the in vogue thing.
I do that too.
Just because. Like, oh, that's what they're doing in France? Okay, fair enough.
For like 4 days, 4 days. And then out of nowhere, I just get this urge to like eat
Not bad,
one
though.
protein
You,
or like one bad thing. Then after I eat that one bad
Your English may not be good, or may not be the best, but you have a good sense of humor.
I have a good sense of what?
Humor?
Yeah, I guess, but it's really hard in English. When it's not your mother language, you cannot make jokes. And no, don't say
Poor
that.
Sophie.
It's so frustrating.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know because when I go to Europe, right? If I go to Europe, because people there speak English, but they don't speak English.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, as long as I'm sincere and like direct about how I communicate, they get it. But as soon as I'm like sarcastic,
Yeah, you can get
as soon as
that.
like, Or like, okay, so first time I went to, one of the first times I went to Europe, I was in Amsterdam, where they actually like, of all the places they should speak good English, like it's actually a national language. They're like, they really should. But I was talking to this girl, she's quick point I want to make is that a lot of the communication you're going to hear from me is telling stories. Okay, I tell a lot of stories, and actually, to be fair, a lot of what's cut out, a lot of what we're not showing you, is more of me telling stories. A lot of there's a lot of biographical stories. Okay, I just want to make that point that I'm not having a dialogue of question. I'm telling stories. I'm conveying my life history. I'm conveying my personality through stories, etc., etc. Stories are one of the most powerful things you can do verbally because they're one of the few forms of communication that build value and comfort at the same time. Okay, they build value because if it's first of all, the fact that you're owning the conversation, leading, you can handle just talking and you're not stuttering and stammering around here. That's some form of value, but also you have the opportunity in your stories to tell good facts and value-building facts about yourself. However, it also builds comfort because you're spending time with her and because you're letting her get an insight into who you are. So it's one of the most powerful forms of communication there is. Most guys do not tell enough stories in their sets. They list a lot of facts. They give very boring answers to get to know you questions. Stories are fundamental. I don't know anybody who's really good at game who's not at least a pretty good storyteller. Very sweet. She was really into me, and I was just teasing her because she said something like a little bit like shady. And I was like, oh my god, you're a bad girl. I can't hang out with you. And
What's shady?
She said something that could be interpreted as like naughty or criminal or devious or like could get you in trouble. Like just like not. It wasn't the most angelic thing she could say.
That you understand this way.
No, I was just like, oh, you're such a bad girl, right? Just like as a joke. And she got really offended. She's like, I'm not a bad girl. I'm so good. I'm like, no, I'm kidding. She's like, what? And she like almost was crying. I'm like, no, it's a joke. Calm down, relax. Anyway.
I guess it depends how you've been educated, right?
Well, I think it's hard because, like you said, the accents, right? British versus Australian. It's the tone of voice. And so if the words themselves are a struggle, it's hard to hear the tone of voice.
I think it's because I kept too low my calories. And then
I won't be offended.
I get these fucking urges that I can't handle.
By anything that I do, ever.
So.
Be careful what you say. You could get yourself in trouble saying that, but whatever.
When I was saying that, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that.
Why do I seem like trouble?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Efforts must be redoubled. Duly noted. I do like your You're cute when you do the little semi blush. Blush. Please tell me you don't not know that word. I'm going to teach you so much English.
Sorry.
That's okay. Blush is when your face flushes a little bit because you're like just a little bit.
No, I don't flush.
Never. Really? Oh, look at that. Just a little bit? Okay. Notice the tone of voice. Oh, look at that. I can't even do it when I'm not around a girl, that tone of voice, right? I can't even fake it, but it's in the same way that like when people have a baby, they start talking like baby talk to the baby. They have like a certain like tonality that they use. There's certain tonalities that I use around girls. There's like flirty tonalities, it's like making fun of her tonalities, that kind of stuff. There's another one you'll hear me sometimes like, yeah, right? As she's talking, I'm like, yeah. So I'm saying yes, as in like just encouraging her to keep talking or agreeing with what she's saying, but I'm kind of like gazing at her sexually and like, yeah, right? There's these little tonality things that I do that either make it more interesting or make it more sensual, that kind of stuff. So what I encourage you to do as you're watching through this is really pay attention to my tonality. Pay attention to when I do use like a weird tone of voice or when I suddenly get very high pitched or when I suddenly slow way down. There's a lot going on underneath the words.
Check marks, that means you get to like a cookie or something like that. Yeah.
It's not a bad flush. It's both. Flush means turn red, just from anything. So if it's hot out, you could flush. If it's you've been running, you could flush. Blush is when you flush specifically because it's like awkward or embarrassing or because you're nervous. So flushing is a physical thing. Blushing is when it's for a particular reason.
Thanks.
I'll be here all week, here to help you with your, Tell you what, you teach me biology, I'll teach you English, all right?
I'm doing plant biology.
Plant biology, yeah. So I'm going to tell you this, and if you think I'm dumb after hearing it, you can leave. It's totally fine, okay?
Okay.
So I've been really good at almost everything academically ever. Like I was always the kid that never had to study, passed every test, crushed every test, whatever,
The
right?
lazy guy, right?
Huh?
The lazy guy.
The lazy guy. And the thing was, I could always figure it out. Like, for example, in high school physics, we had like the like AP test, the like highest level test in high school, whatever. And I got the test, and it was 3 questions long. One of the 3 questions, I looked at it, and I'd never seen it before. I was like, I've never seen any of this material. I have no idea. I don't even know. So I did the other 2, and I came to it, and then I like looked at the units of measure on the answers, and I backwards engineered what the equation had to be from the units of measurement, and like got the right answer. So like I'm really good whenever like you can figure stuff out, which like in physics and math
And
you
it's
can.
logic, right?
Exactly. But the problem, biology, you can't.
I have bad memory. I will remember your name.
I mean, you
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I was gonna say you forgot my name.
No, but maybe I won't remember the first drink or don't be offended.
So I have my work cut out to make myself memorable.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. I'll try very hard not to be forgettable.
Okay. It's not that hard.
I love that look.
First week, 2 weeks before.
The like very shy, confident look.
Just like go down there and like touch.
Are you okay? So you are a little shy.
Yeah.
I like the earring, by the way. And this one, huh? That's cute.
Devil.
Well, I was thinking this one, but I didn't even notice that one until for a second. So you are shy, but you're also confident, though.
Tiniest things turn you on.
I used to be before living in New York, actually.
You used to be confident before.
You gotta like.
New York did that to you?
Yeah, New York did bad things to me.
Yeah. So, but I used to be shy. But you still claim to be.
I don't claim to be shy, but first the language is hard. It's hard to meet new people, actually. I mean, not that hard.
I mean, can I step back and like aside from this for a second?
No, I told you. Question.
No. I'm just gonna talk at you for a minute. A, you're a pretty girl. B, this is this technique I use when sort of like arguing with a girl. I'm not really arguing with her when I'm trying to make a point with a girl. If you go A, B, C like that, for whatever reason, people will wait till the end of the list. So if you actually have like a sophisticated point to make or something that like you don't want them to interrupt midway through, instead of just saying it and then saying, oh, and also, oh, and also, oh, and also, if you start off A, this, B, this, C, this, there's sort of like this mental sort of framework that they're creating where they're going to wait till you finish making letters. Because if there's an A, there's obviously a B. So they're at least going to wait for B. Does that make sense? So again, it's you're creating, there's a word for it, I'm sure. I think it's like a gestalt almost, or that's not even the right word. But you're creating this structure where they will wait till the end of the structure. A very, very powerful argumentative tool. You're
Subjective.
A, you're not an unattractive girl.
I don't like this double negation.
Huh?
It's never good.
Double negation's
No, no,
never
no.
good.
The last one was like alternative crap.
Well, then you're a pretty girl.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I've heard it.
You
Have you heard
have a good sense of humor.
Holly Hill by
You're not entire. You know, you're somewhat educated, not fully stupid, right?
I have heard.
To some, at least, you have something of a refreshing attitude, at least compared to certain American girls.
Refreshing.
Refreshing. You know what that means?
I mean, I guess I know what does that mean, but I think the context.
It doesn't mean fresh again.
No.
It doesn't. That's not what it means. Refreshing is like, it's like when it's really hot and you're really thirsty and you drink water. It's refreshing. Or like you jump in a pool and it's like kind of like shocking a little bit, but it like wakes you up in a positive way. That's refreshing.
I waked you up. I woke up.
This is something that will come up sometimes with foreign girls that don't speak as well. Sometimes you'll have to explain what a word means to them. And it's actually a really cool opportunity because you use this word and the word has kind of like the scope of the word's meaning is pretty small. It means one exact thing, right? But when they ask you what the word means, you're not just going to tell them exactly what that scope is. You can talk about related ideas, related concepts. You can kind of, if there was an implication you specifically meant or you wish were true or you'd like to imply something like that, you can bring up a lot of different other ideas to the table. Like, for example, if, say for example, the word was naughty and she didn't understand the word naughty because she's 4 and maybe she doesn't know that, right? Like the literal, it means bad, right? And if she actually knew the word, she might just think bad and it might be limited in scope. But if you start talking about the word naughty, there's all these other implications, like doesn't do exactly what she's told, and sometimes can think sexually about things and that kind of stuff, but isn't actually evil or bad, right? That's a completely different meaning, and that's a meaning that you're basically telling her, it's your description of her. If you paint it as something that she would want to live up to because it sounds good, but also something you would want her to live up to in order for sex to go down, it's a great opportunity to elaborate on the concept and really paint that description with a much more detailed brush. Okay? So it's a great thing that comes up time to time when dealing with foreign girls, where usually with foreign girls you can be less expressive than with girls who get the language. But in this case where you get to describe a word, you actually have an amazing opportunity to actually go much deeper in terms of layers. And also, it's completely from a frame of you leading and assessing and determining the direction things are going to go in. So it's actually a very valuable opportunity. Well, I mean, let's take it slow. I mean, we just met. I mean, let's not, one of us waking the other one up's a little far along at this point. But, I mean, as much as you know, rolling over and finding Sophie wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I think we should take it slow. I love your expressions. I can't even deal with it.
Sorry.
It's alright. But well, I guess where I'm going with this is like, I don't feel like you would have trouble meeting people if you try.
If I was
if you tried.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just don't have time.
Too busy.
Yeah,
too busy with the plant biology.
Actually, I'm shy because my English is not good, so I keep asking you things.
You learn fast. You learned like 5 words since you met me.
Yeah, but if you ask me tomorrow, I won't be able to explain all of them. But that's okay.
I just have to give you like a strong attachment to them.
Yeah, it looks to me like you are exclusive, you build a family, you have kids, and then you stop being non-exclusive.
That's what like people look like in general, or yeah. I think honest assessment philosophy is like, I think that whenever 2 people are together in whatever way, it should be because they want to be, right? And so like you and I, right? If we hang out and have a so these phrases, I think an honest answer, to be honest with you, to be fair, to be totally upfront, those kind of phrases, a lot of people don't like them. I know once upon a time I was in a sales job and my sales manager told me not to say that. So don't say to be honest, because if you say to be honest, does that imply that you weren't being honest other times, right? A lot of people say not to say that. That said, I think there is value in them, and the value in them is emphasis, right? If you say like to be completely honest, specifically if you say to be completely honest and then you say a frame that you need to be true in order to sleep with her, or a frame that you would like her to buy into, or a frame that you would like her to like take to heart, it's going to draw more focus to that, and it's going to make it seem like that's the most valid, most real part of the conversation. So funny enough, you should actually say like to be honest, to be real, to be completely like upfront with you on actually the most contentious parts. Not the parts that are like the most obvious and most clear and whatnot, but on those most contentious parts. And that's going to draw their attention to that being a very real thing, and to the fact that you're being very sincere with them in that area. So as much as, yes, on a literal level, it does imply that you weren't honest the entire time or something, I wouldn't look that deeply. I think it's actually quite powerful. One of the most important things in game is attention. Is her attention on you, number one, but also what factors in the environment, what factors in the conversation is her attention drawn to. So anything that you can use to control and manipulate attention and to direct attention in the directions that you want it is a very, very valuable and useful tool in my opinion. Amazing time together. and like we enjoy hanging out, we should hang out because we like hanging out, but not because we're obligated to, or not because like you own me or I own you or anything like that.
I
right?
agree with that.
And in a sort of a weird way, whenever you can't do something, it just makes you want to do it more.
I completely agree on that.
So what kind of happens, I guess, over time is that like you have all the options and you enjoy all the options, and everyone else enjoys the options with you, whatever. But
But you're not afraid to meet somebody that you like more than her?
so here's the afraid's a weird word. No, I'm not. So here's the thing I tell her, and I don't think it. She really, really likes me, so I don't think it would ever happen. But if it did, it did. I always say, if somehow, like, as amazing as she and I are together, if she ever met someone who was actually better for her, then she should go with him. I'd be a little sad, but I'd be really happy for her too. If that makes sense.
Yeah, completely.
But that said, nobody's better than me, so it's fine. I'm just the best. What?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm glad you agree with me on that.
You need to use the bathroom.
By all means, down the way. This is a really useful technique, which is someone asks a direct, pointed question about you, and certain questions, if you ask them about yourself, are either going to seem like your answer is going to seem like try hard, like you're trying to convince her of something, or it might reflect on you in a certain way or whatever. When you have those sort of like dicey questions, those kind of like you're walking a tightrope questions, a lot of times a good way to answer them is to answer them in a general sense, right? So someone asks a question about you, and instead of saying, well, I think da-da-da-da-da, you say, well, if you look at people in general, and you can answer in general without it reflecting on you, without it being such high stakes, and it allows you to, again, there's a lot of things it allows you to do. It allows you to take pressure off the situation. It allows you to make a point without being interrupted. It allows you to bring ideas into the conversation that might be too risque if they were about you and her. It's just a useful tool, right? It's a useful tool to be able to take that personal question and be able to generalize in your answer. I was just thinking, like, you were typing and so your hands were probably sore, so I was trying to, like, you know, help them feel better.
I'm stressed. Okay.
Don't be shy.
That's weird.
Good technique, if you want someone to do something, is instead of telling them to do it, tell them not to do some other thing that's contrary to it for a reason that's negative and seems helpful. For example, like, don't be shy. You don't need to, right? Instead of saying, come here and kiss me, don't be shy. You're better than that, right? And it indicates the same action, but it indicates it in the negative. It indicates them as like an away motivation as opposed to a to motivation. So instead of being like me, come to me, escalate with me, be like, don't be shy, don't be afraid, don't be that person that gives into fear. Those kind of things are they seem less self-interested instead of saying do this thing with me. All right, it's a good, interesting. Just a change in the way that you're expressing yourself. What? What's weird?
Okay.
I said don't be shy?
Yeah.
You don't need to. Just be you.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
If I like you as you, great. If I don't like you as you, then I'm stupid. In your opinion. That phrase, just be you, is tremendously useful and tremendously valuable. Basically, anytime a girl is getting in her own way, like if she's like, she clearly likes you, but she's like overthinking things, or she has like some anti-slut defense stuff going on, or she's nervous about how it would look or how you'd perceive her or something like that. The phrase, just be you. Because if you're doing a good job, her basest instinct, her most like obvious feeling is going to be to do something with you, right? So just be you basically means clear the clutter and go with your most obvious feeling. But it sounds like, it doesn't sound self-interested that way. Right? It doesn't sound like just do it with me, just be you, don't get in your own way, that kind of stuff. Those kind of phrases, they're very positive, affirming ways of like kind of liberating her to do something with you as opposed to forcing her to do something with you. And same, if you don't like me as me, then I'm like, oh, she's dumb, whatever. Fair enough?
So far so good.
So far so good? Well, thank you. I'm glad you like me. I mean, we should take our time and get to know each other. But like, seriously. Like, nothing to be insecure about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you, I feel comfortable. Which is weird because I don't know you. You're a psychopath. fat. I used to love Dexter, you know.
You love that? That's funny. Really? That's funny. I actually like that show too, but not my favorite, but it was good.
I have to go to California.
Yeah, you should.
I'm looking for a job there. They don't want me.
So what, you want to stay in the US after your terrible experience in New York?
Yeah, kind of. I think I chose the wrong place in the US because the country looks pretty wide everywhere except New York, right?
Right. It's like, well, New York, Boston, Chicago. Like, you just have to not,
I visit my friends and it's too wide. I don't want to live there.
like too flat.
Yeah. No, like too empty and there's nothing to do there. Too cold and I can't live there.
You might like LA or California.
Yeah, she's moving to LA actually.
So LA is like, there's a lot of buildings, but it's like goes out forever, but it is buildings as opposed to like just building. Here it's just up, right? Problem with LA is the traffic. No, you say that, but it's really bad. Like it's really.
I'm trying to get
bad.
my driving license there.
Do you have one in?
Yeah, I have the.
Can't you just like transfer it over?
No, that's so bad. I was allowed to drive the first year, but after 1 year residence in New York, you cannot drive anymore.
You have to like go pass a test.
Yeah.
So why don't you go take the test?
Yeah, I did the right.
You're just too lazy. You're just like I'm too lazy.
No, I don't find the time. It's like you have to book half a day, but I'll do it. I paid for it already, so I just have to take time for it.
You're so insecure. You're so shy. It's cute.
Now?
Yeah. Okay.
It's accurate.
I look insecure.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Like,
Just little
alright, so dogs.
things.
What's the worst thing about dogs?
Yeah, I know, my face.
Pretty sure we think
What about it?
The poker face.
Think of anything.
I can play poker actually. You say you were professional in poker, I can. I'm so expressive.
Actually, I was just trying to figure out like what makeup you are and are not wearing. So eyelashes a little bit.
Yeah, that's it.
Let me guess.
That's it. Anything on lips or no?
They can't see your face.
I tried one today.
No, it's
I went to the Sephora with a
everyone
friend.
loves it. Even your parents probably.
Otherwise, no.
If there was one major
Does it look funny on you? Like if you put makeup on, do you
Yeah.
look funny? Yeah.
I look like
Like a clown?
me.
No, not you. You have a good clean look though. You have a good like wake up next to someone in the morning and they don't look like a monster look. It's nice. It's the other thing in the United States, right? That's the danger. You go out, you meet a girl at a club, she's so hot. In the morning she rolls over and you're like, oh my god, what's that?
That happened to you?
Huh? Not quite that bad, but yeah. Like it's just not quite the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the good point of
Go to bed with beauty, wake up with the beast. Sorry. Quick points regarding humor. Specifics really work well in humor, and cultural references work really well in humor. So right there, go to bed with a beauty and wake up with the beast. Using the beauty and the beast, it makes it more specific, more culturally like on point. It makes it more clever. For example, had I said you go to bed with a pretty girl and wake up with an ugly girl, that would be not nearly as clever, not nearly as interesting, not nearly as entertaining. So a lot of guys ask me how I'm witty, how I'm funny, where my humor comes from. Specifics are a very, very good source, and knowing some cultural references are a good source. Now, in this case, like I'm not going to use a lot of cultural references because she's French and whatever. Beauty and the Beast is an international fairy tale that actually comes from Europe long, long time ago. So that's a shared reference.
Yeah.
So Asian people can take over the world.
You have to learn Chinese.
We have to learn Chinese. Yeah, that, and the white people need to start multiplying like the Chinese, so we can have 1 billion of us, and then then we can compete.
You want to multiply yourself?
I mean, it wasn't an offer. I just met you, but
Maybe you already did.
as a general concept, I'm not opposed. I think the world could use more Todd, but like it's like, I mean, I've only just met you. You're cute and you're fun, but
I don't know. Yeah, do you?
do I have kids?
Not that you know.
I've said that before. None that I'm aware of.
It's good to be a girl for that.
Because then you know?
Yeah.
Maybe. Supposed to. I mean, the process of creating a kid is a lot more arduous for a girl, but yeah. Obviously, that's a misinterpretation. Very, very, very common form of gaming. So anything that she says, if you can misinterpret it as a compliment, that's great. If you can misinterpret it as a sexual advance, that's great. The other one you can do is you can mishear, which I think I have a couple examples of that later on in this interaction. But basically, if she says something, you can pretend she said something different than what she said and just go on that. But all of these are very, very useful formats because it's sort of like you got a compliment by accident, so it wasn't your fault. It wasn't arrogant, it wasn't try hard, because it was an accident. You're on this world for a certain amount of time, and you can either have experiences during that time or not have experiences during that time. I'd much rather have a lot of experiences. I'd much rather like even have experiences and make mistakes and have stories than to be like the person that never did anything. All right, so a couple things here. One is something I brought up earlier, which is talking in the general but referring to the specific, right? You're talking about you, meaning as a person, this is happening, but what are you doing in the specific? You're talking about her, the other you. And specifically what I'm talking about here is going a step deeper, which is using you in the general and using you in the specific. Because when you start saying you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you say as a person you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. What she's hearing is, as her, a person, like one individual person, not a person in general, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. So you're taking this general experience, and she has no choice but to interpret it as being about her. However, because it's about humanity in general and not about her, you can get away with, again, saying and doing a lot of things in that general context that you wouldn't be able to get away with in the specific context. So it's another example of this technique in use. As far as it goes. Fair enough. So you're so European.
Why?
You just are, like your expressions.
How do you know that they are European?
Which is very different than American, in a good way. You have this sort of like, I feel like American people, American girls in particular, are very like in your face about things. Like it's very like, I want to impress up front, I want to make this impression, I want to be noticed, whatever. Whereas you're much more like low key and like much more just like you're just you. But then there are certain things like when pressed, like if I hit on a particular point or like something you're proud about or whatever, you mean this very like obstinate look, like that very like, you know, the look of like a little kid who's really proud of something. That's like just like.
When did I react like that? For what?
Here's a really kind of powerful and insidious technique. What you do basically is you're going to say that she's doing something that, if it were true, would be helpful to the interaction. It would be indicating that she likes you or something like that. Okay. Now, generally, I don't fake this because usually the girls are doing good things. I just point them out. That's the easiest way. Is if she's blushing, you point out that she's blushing. If she seems nervous, you point out that like she seems nervous, whatever, that kind of thing. But in theory, and you can do this occasionally. Point out something that she's not even doing. Like she's not even blushing, you should go like, you're so cute when you blush, right? Well, if she's blushing, what does that imply? It implies she's having an emotional reaction to you. Whether she is or not, who cares? She doesn't know, right? She can't see if she's blushing or not, and she's going to assume it. The reason I thought of this one was a lot of times like I would, I tend to shake. When I talk, I tend to be like animated. I tend to do like this and like kind of shake. I don't know if you can tell under the tip, but I kind of shake and bounce a little bit. And so girls sometimes would call me out like, are you shaking? Are you nervous? You're shaking a lot, right? And for me, it's not at all even a nervous gesture. It's just something I do. It's just an energy thing. But I would, you know, I never knew quite how to deal with it because, yeah, shaking does indicate nerves. So I never knew what to do with that. But then one time a girl said that to me. She's like, are you nervous? You're shaking. And I just like assessed my body and I absolutely was. And I was like, that's not fair. Like, if I was shaking, fine, by all means. But I wasn't even shaking. What the fuck, right? But it still is just as difficult of a shit test for me to deal with. It's just as difficult for me to pass, and it puts me in the same exact situation. So, A, call her out when she has traits that indicate that she likes you. Bring those to the surface and make them a logical thing in the interaction. But you can actually even do it occasionally when she's not even doing it. If it would be useful, by all means, why not? I'll tell you next time you do it. I don't know. You do it periodically.
But I think that's true. Most of the guy I met was like, they need to prove that they are amazing at something. They say amazing all the time.
US or in France?
Here in the US. Like everything is amazing.
Everything's amazing.
Yeah, you haven't used these words.
I shall endeavor not to.
About what?
Huh?
About what?
I shall endeavor not to use the word amazing. I don't know. I feel like if you really are something, you don't have to tell people.
They figure out by themselves.
Michael Jordan doesn't have to say I'm good at basketball. Poker players in the world are very dedicated.
You decided to do that. You were young and you wanted to make money. And
How long of a story do you want to hear?
yeah, from the beginning.
From the beginning. Oh, so you're intrigued by me. I'm flattered. Thank you, Sophie. So sweet. I'll give you the short version. So when
American expression, I love this expression.
give you the short version.
To make the long story short.
Yeah. I'm gonna try it in this case because you said I want to know everything. You literally said what's your life story. So I mean, I'm glad you find me that.
Life is all about poker, right?
I'm glad you find me that fascinating, Sophie. I'm very flattered. It's very sweet of you.
Yeah, he just said that on my drop by.
Great technique for getting more commitment and more investment. Girl asks you a question, you say, well, how much do you want the whole story, that kind of stuff. You get her to ask you twice. Or for example, she asks you a question, you give kind of a vague answer that just elicits another question. Because again, every time she's asking you a question, first of all, when the girl first starts asking you questions in the interaction, you should be like, the hard work is done, right? Because she's interested enough to ask you to keep talking. So the more girls are asking you questions, the more committed and invested they're becoming. Why not get them to ask 2 questions instead of 1 and increase that commitment level? Secondly, if they do ask for a full story or they really ask, why not imply, wow, you're really curious about me, thank you. Why not misinterpret it as though they like you even more than they do? Because the fact of the matter is, the fact that they're asking a question does mean they like you. It does mean they like you, but why not overemphasize it? Why not make it a greater logical construct within the interaction? I feel like you'd be a fun person to take on an adventure. I feel like, meaning I think, you'd be a fun person to take on an adventure. So what you're about to see here is what I would alternatively either call seeding the pull or I'd call it the soft close. But in any case, it's one of the most useful things you can do to close more often for whatever it is you're closing for. Most guys, what they do in game is it's like platonic, 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 no escalation, then just escalation like an anvil out of the sky in a cartoon. Or just out of nowhere, boom, escalation, or boom, close out of nowhere. What you want to do really is be just gradually escalating and ramping things up throughout. But then when you go to close, it shouldn't be one big move that's the close. It should be just a subtle little hint. If that goes well, another subtle little hint, and then a more obvious hint, and then eventually you get there, right? The good thing about that is you build up to the close so that you're more likely to do it at the right time rather than the wrong time. You're calibrating where you're at. Also, you're hearing little yeses along the way. So you're creating what's called a yes ladder. You're like, little escalation, yes, little escalation, yes, little escalation, yes, little escalation, yes. She just gets in the habit of saying yes, as opposed to if you go nothing, 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 huge escalation, she says no, and now you're in a bad spot. Really, really key. The other thing that I do, we call it seeding the pull, is I bring up the idea of what I want to do, maybe in the negative or maybe in the idea of like, we can't do this, but it would be fun. So I suggest the idea in a way that she can't actually say no to. So I'm doing these 2 things over what you're about to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Spontaneous, adventurous.
Yep.
I'll keep that in mind.
Good to know. So you have a lot of candidates on your list.
What, for adventures?
Yeah. That's one of the first questions you asked me if I was in the
Adventures? It's important. I don't like people that are like boring and not open to having fun, trying new things.
I came in the US by myself. I like traveling.
I respect that.
It's backpacking. But I'm too shy.
You have to stop being so cute.
I'm not saying
That phrase, you have to stop being so cute, is a great push-pull, first of all, and a great excuse to escalate as well. And what that's really kind of a part and parcel of is something I call sweetie game. It's not something I recommend at the highest levels, but it is a very useful means of escalating and a very useful way of gaming until you become quite advanced in game. And what you're basically doing is you're talking to the girl and you're essentially like, you're playing it as though you're attracted to her, but you're trying very hard not to be. So that's where the sexual tension comes in, is from the fact that you're trying not to be attracted to her. And so she knows that she has you in the moment, but she knows that you're actively trying to undo that. You're actively trying to fall out of love with her. And so you're able to maintain the sexual tension. The other thing is, for a lot of guys, when they're new to game, they have trouble escalating. And when you overtly acknowledge that you're very attracted to the girl and overtly acknowledge you're trying to resist her, escalating makes sense. So a lot of times if you try and play like indirect game or I'm over you or I'm not into you kind of game or like a lot of pushaways, it's weird to escalate. So I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you, escalate. So until escalation becomes normal, that kind of game, that sweetie game style, can actually be pretty effective. And that line, why do you have to be so cute, or whatever exactly it was, those type of lines, or I'm trying to resist how cute you are, anything along those lines, that's an example of that sweetie game style of game.
Just like they don't even have to do just because that's an invention. That's how they actually imagine you see this person.
I actually like your hair. I didn't want to kiss you anymore. I just want to play with your hair. That's good.
Why?
Huh? Why is it good? Because it's thick
white.
and curly, but still not awful. They're white. They're not white. They're brown. I don't see any white. I have white hairs. You don't have white hairs. I'm an old man with too much stress in his life.
No, you don't have white hair.
Somewhere on the sides, I do a little bit.
But you still have hairs.
I still have hairs.
Yeah, that's much better to have white hair than no hair.
I'm gonna look really sophisticated when I do it. Like really, Richard Gere. I'm gonna be Richard Gere one day. White hair,
One day.
sexy and sophisticated. That's gonna be me. I'll look like I'm like 40 for the next 40 years.
I agree. I definitely agree with you.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Sorry, I couldn't resist after a kiss. That's another example of that sweetie game style, just so you can kind of get another idea of exactly what I'm talking about there.
I'm glad you did.
I'm glad you're glad.
I think they do want it worse than me.
Even if it's awkward.
You know what's what?
Awkward?
Why?
Oh, we met 1 hour ago.
Probably like an hour and a half at this point.
Okay.
That's why you're operating.
Yeah, right.
Great way to pass a shit test. I've mentioned this before. She says something, you repeat it back to her. She goes, it's awkward. You go, awkward? As a questioning statement that forces her to justify it. The other way to do the same thing, and a lot of times, is just go, why? Awkward, why? Right? Just force her to justify the statement rather than you having to justify it. Put the onus back on her. It's a great way to pass a ton of different variety of tests that girls will throw at you. I mean, I do think we should take things slow, but it doesn't mean we can't enjoy each other along the way.
I'm okay with that. I don't know how long I will stay in New York.
Fair enough. I'll try not to get too attached so I can get my heart broken or anything. I know. Leaving a string of American hearts in your wake.
But I'm good with myself. So.
Yeah. I can tell that. I appreciate that, actually. That's
Just a plus.
a good thing.
What happened to your hair?
What do you mean? To my ear?
Yeah. You had ear piercings.
I did when I was younger. Yeah.
You have piercings and tattoos.
Not so much. I'm the type of guy who would, but I don't.
Why?
Yeah, I think that's true. You know what?
I tell two different stories. I'll give you two versions. You can decide which one you believe. Version one is I'm a perfectionist, and I wouldn't want to ruin this body by like tarnishing it with tattoos.
I like this version.
You like that version?
Yeah.
You don't seem that shy.
Yeah.
I mean, I could give you the test, but I just met you, so
People used to say I'm cold.
You know, this is.
you're not cold. You haven't been cold to me.
Do you want something or no?
No,
Appreciate it.
obviously not.
Obviously not. We talk about. Hey, you know what? Fine. We'll have a little more space right now. We'll chill it out.
I didn't say I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why people say.
That you're cold.
Yeah, I am.
Not that cold. You're alright. I'm kind of warm right now.
I'm heartless.
You're what?
I'm heartless. Heartless.
Heartless?
Yeah. That's kind of.
I love the pronunciation. I can't even heartless. I can't even say it though. You said it.
What do you say?
Heartless. Heart.
I can do the H.
Really? You can't do the H? Oh, because you H in front. You didn't do the pronounce the H.
Like I ate and I hate.
Oh, poor girl.
Yeah.
So rough.
Like I'm hungry and hungry.
So if I was like, I hate you and I ate you,
Yeah,
that's so dirty.
it is.
Look at you.
Pick it up.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not funny. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no sense of humor.
Oh, I will stop laughing.
I'm neither clever nor witty nor cute. I'm not funny. I have no sense of humor. I'm neither clever nor witty nor cute. What is that? That is what we call the humble brag. Because I clearly do have a sense of humor. I clearly am clever. I clearly am witty. I clearly am cute. And she's acknowledged all these things so far. Now, if I was to say I'm clever and witty and cute, that's bragging. But if I say I'm not clever, I'm not witty, I'm not cute, it's not bragging. It's downplaying. It's being modest. Except what it's really doing is calling attention to the fact that I actually am. Okay? So it's pointing out the characteristic by actually saying it in the negative. Very, very useful for, again, conveying these attractive qualities without appearing try-hard. If anything, trying to appear modest. So that's a great example of the humble brag. Great technique to use. In any way. I'm just some dude. Nothing special.
Somewhat.
Some dude.
Good.
Some dude. No big deal.
Small hands. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have like tremendously large hands, but compared to yours. And sometimes the best way to pass a shit test is not to say anything. Some shit tests just don't require you to say anything, and actually even acknowledging it to the extent of responding verbally would be giving it too much credit. I'm pretty sure.
About what?
I just got distracted by your neck.
My long neck. I have trouble.
I'm gonna tell you a cheesy line from a movie. I was just gonna try and pass it off as my own, but it's better this way. I'm just gonna tell you as a movie. Points I've made before, but number one, attributing it to a movie gives me more permission to say something cheesy, say something a little forward, etc. Second thing is this idea of speaking sensually, speaking sexually, speaking very like descriptively in like a foreplay bedroom talk kind of way to girls is very, very useful. So use it. Did you ever see the movie The Devil's Advocate?
The what?
The Devil's Advocate. Okay, anyway, it's a good movie, but it's an old movie. So he says, he's like, a woman's neck, if she's a woman of passion, has all the romance, the intrigue of a no man's land in the battle between the body and the mind.
Yeah. There is a long way between my body and my mind.
As in you have a long neck. You have a cute neck.
So many compliments.
I'll stop.
I will start feeling amazing. Yeah, you should stop.
Start feeling your aging.
Amazing.
That's an example of misinterpretation through mishearing, right? I'll start feeling amazing. Wait, you'll start feeling your aging, right? It's a good just like little twist to like throw her off a little bit, throw her off guard. This one didn't have so much of a gamey purpose, but I just want to point out the technique. That's what the technique would look like. And there are a lot of times when you could use it as a misinterpretation of something sexual or a misinterpretation of something where you could really make fun of a girl or things like that. So intentionally mishearing a girl is very, very useful. Is that such a bad thing?
Yeah. I become too American.
I can handle it. If you get cocky, I'll handle it. I'm well versed in dealing with cocky girls. Not too worried.
Okay.
Okay. Are you a neck person or an ear person?
Neck person.
Neck person. Okay. So that right there is called the alternate of choice, right? It's not how would you like it if I kissed your neck. It's are you a neck person or an ear person, right? Instead of it being a yes or no question, it's an either or question. And when it's an either or question, she'll answer either or rather than yes or no. This can be used in closing a lot. For example, are you a coffee person or a smoothie person? As opposed to, would you like to go on a date with me? Would you like to go on a date with me as a yes or no question? Are you a coffee person or a smoothie? Are you a coffee person or a smoothie person? Is an alternative choice. They're going to say either coffee or smoothie, and implicitly by saying either one, they've agreed to. This is another example of where she's asking for clarification on a word, and I'm going to use it to imply a lot of other things. So we're talking about the word infuriate, but then I'm talking about letting loose the passion and things like that. I'm basically implying like having an orgasm, right? In a subtle kind of undertone way. Now she may pick up on it, she may not. If she doesn't, nothing's lost. If she does, it's subtle and clever, and she has to wonder why she's thinking about it that way because I didn't explicitly say it, right? So it doesn't hurt to have those subtle like sexual entends, those little like sexual references in what you're saying. And again, when you are giving a definition, in this case, it actually allows you to be more expansive with a foreign girl than you would be with a girl who's not foreign. It allows you to have more control over the dialogue and more control over the exact meaning that you want to have in the words.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can be like that.
I'm not asking you to. I'm saying you should always go just slow enough that you like you want to unleash the passion, but there's just that little bit of like, I hope he does.
Keep it cool.
I hope he does. I hope he does. Oh, but he didn't. But then he did. But then he did. But I really want him to.
You know what it is? I think.
If you know what I mean.
I think I know.
I look more like a prison.
I do my best with the language.
Yeah, you're a good teacher.
It's like, yeah.
I can teach you a good many things.
Some freak nasty.
Yay.
You might be able to teach me a few things too. So she's talking about language, you're a good teacher, and then I'm talking about what? You know, I could teach you a good many things. You might be able to teach me a few things too. Maybe I'm talking about language. That's not too dangerous. I can't get in trouble with it. If she gets offended, like, no, I was talking about just words. I mean, obviously you speak French, you could teach me as well. It's safe enough. I could always back out of it. But what am I really talking about? I'm talking about sexually, I could teach you a few things. You could maybe teach me a thing or two also, right? So it's another great opportunity because of misinterpretation to safely be able to imply something really sexual. And if she goes with it, great. If she doesn't go with it, still completely safe.
Maybe. Bougie. Yeah, they're bougie.
So you're a good teacher?
I don't know, I'm not patient.
Really?
Yeah.
If you're too impatient, I don't know if you're going to be able to handle me.
You don't need me to teach you things.
What?
I think you don't need me to teach you things.
No, I didn't mean as a teacher. I meant in general, if you're too impatient, you might not be able to handle me.
I don't know, I'm patient.
Okay. Me too.
I brought my Jordan.
Yeah. I don't believe you neither for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
How's it looking?
I don't know. Just
Keep me posted. I think. Well, enough said. Enough said on that one. Huh? So that's called an open loop, right? You start in saying something, you're getting to like a climax, you're getting to an interesting moment, you're like, you know, actually, enough said. Right? And what does that do? It begs the question. It begs her to keep asking. It begs her to either pursue it, in which case you can say it and it's not your fault because you weren't try hard about it, Or you can even leave the loop open, and she's going to wonder, she's going to be frustrated and fear, like, why won't you tell me? Why won't you tell me? And it gives her a reason to get more attached. This can be great for introducing sexual stuff or risque stuff into the conversation. Also can be great early on in order to hook the set. So you're talking and there's a topic she kind of likes, and you're like, actually, you know what, let's not talk about that. And she's like, no, let's talk about it, let's talk about it. Well, what's she doing? She's asking you to keep talking. She's asking you to keep talking to her. So it's a great technique for hooking the set as well. I was going to say, hopefully you don't, and hopefully you do at the same time. Become impatient with me. You know that feeling where you want someone to do something?
But you don't admit it.
That's a very girl thing. That's the girl version right there. Guys don't have that one. That's the girl one. What I was gonna say, like for example, I'm not gonna do anything right now, okay? I promise. So the question is,
Do I want you
if
to?
there's a little part of you, even if you don't necessarily want me to, that's at least intrigued by how it would feel
It's
if I were.
intriguing, right?
Exactly. Do you notice how I relieved her of responsibility there? Like, there's a little part of you, even if like you don't want to or you never would, but there's a little part of you that would kind of want it, right? So I let her have the desire, I let her have the experience without feeling slutty about it and without acknowledging consciously that she would. Right? It's a great way to relieve her of responsibility. And I'll do that a lot when I start like talking sexy or talking dirty with girls.
This is what I want for my room.
So I just don't want you to become too impatient, that's all.
Like painting?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I
The
know.
thing is, like, I don't want to commit
I
too much to
appreciate
it because
that.
I've only lived in them for a month. I don't know how much they're going to stay there past December. But
It'd be fun though.
I think so.
like these? Yeah, like just crazy weird shit just thrown in the room. Just,
Unexpected.
no, yeah, this is that
You?
one.
Me.
Yeah.
There's an album.
How so? You expected me to be terrible and no
That
fun?
one's another great band.
How was,
Dude, yeah.
yeah, I didn't know.
They
I
have
was
some really
like,
good songs.
Well, thank you.
You know what I was gonna
Huh?
say? Look,
You?
if you had, if anyone, if you could see
I mean,
like this,
we exchanged like 10 pics. That's it.
you know what I'm saying?
That's an interesting misinterpretation right there, right? She says unexpected. I say me. She's like yeah. So I say how so? You expected me to be boring and terrible and no fun and ugly, right? What is the implication? That her interpretation must be that I'm the opposite of that. Engaging, incredible, super fun, super attractive, etc. Right? But it's a misinterpretation in the negative. Kind of interesting little twist on the idea of the misinterpretation. What you expected me to be this, and this negative thing, instead of what you didn't realize I'm this, and this positive thing. It's sort of like the combination of misinterpretation and the humble brag, if you were to like put those two techniques together. Just that I pointed out because it's kind of like an interesting kind of way that I expressed that.
What did you say? Like frustration?
Frustrado,
No.
me frustra.
And fear something?
Oh, infuriate. I thought you were looking for the Spanish word. Yeah. Entonces, how adventurous
I
are
really
you?
want to know, like,
For real.
people's goal
How adventurous are you?
for, like, their songs. I know what this is. It's like some old
I didn't get you. I just
No.
hear
It's the
you.
same question from online
cool,
again,
yeah.
but live. How
It
adventurous
doesn't
are you?
make sense
For
to why
real.
they would, like,
Kind of a lot.
Kind of a lot.
Adventurous,
there's got
yeah.
to be some sort of algorithm to kind of be.
Maybe thinking after action.
Fair enough. In some cases that can be bad. If you're around the right people, you're probably okay.
Kevin Bacon. Oh, yeah.
You're the good people.
Alright.
I'll let you determine. Anyone who says they're the good people is trying too hard.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
Make your brain.
So that's for you to decide. If you
He was in,
trust me at least this much and find me intriguing and fun,
I've seen him, yeah.
I will try to be the good people for you. Fair?
Yeah.
But as far as the ultimate determination, that's you.
I'll show you.
Because I'm not going to be the person that tries to tell you that I am.
And I would be like, yeah, that's.
Fair?
Kind of.
Fair enough. I like that phrase a lot.
This guy.
I want to do such naughty things to your neck right now.
That guy.
Yeah, of course.
What?
I said I want to do such
So this
naughty
is a game
things to your
that
neck right
takes
now,
place
but I just am not going to.
That
Just yet.
means you can, and this is a real game. This is
It's like this
real,
massive, like,
it's like a philosophical, like, theory.
Huge neck.
Yeah.
You pick
massive
any movie, any actor.
target
You can
that I just
in 6 ways your
been
life.
so hard to resist.
anything. Just a fucking
Just to test me.
person.
What's that?
Just to test me.
To test you?
Yeah.
Why would I want to test
So
you?
you can be someone like
If I'm patient enough.
If you're patient.
you know,
I mean, it's true. Like, if I did go somewhere with you, I wouldn't want you to like
Colosseum is built in Rome base.
take advantage of
Italy
me.
is a place where Tom Cruise shot one of the scenes from Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise would star in the same room as his film. So whatever it is, literally whatever it is, you can connect it back to in history. Crazy shit. So I think we can't do that.
You're a little bit of traviesa.
Probably, but
You really don't know what
just
that
use
word
to make it
means.
just like that's the original.
You can look it up later. That one I'm not telling you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That gets to be my little secret for now.
So I'm thinking that has like a certain algorithm too, right? So what's their algorithm?
So do you trust me enough for an adventure, or do you want to have another drink here and just chill?
Like there's gotta be some sort
Okay,
of
go back
common
home.
denominator of what
I
is
mean, or someone's
Okay.
back there like really
You wanna
creative,
leave?
just saying,
What?
What's that?
No, I mean, no adventure tonight. But
No, no.
I think I trust you enough.
I don't think.
What's that?
I trust you enough. If you call me back, I will say yes.
hipster ass fucking working?
I like your implication of what the adventure was, you silly girl.
I can say
How easy do you think I am? My goodness. So that's a situation where things didn't go according to plan, obviously. But because I was subtle and because I didn't overtly ask, I can always backtrack and kind of like save face, and it's not such a big deal. Does that make sense? Because I didn't say, let's go to my place and do X, Y, Z. I said a little bit of adventure, and then she implies, oh, I think I should go home, da-da-da-da-da. I don't, like my schedule's too busy or whatever else she said. But because I haven't overtly asked, I always backtrack and be like, oh my goodness, what were you implying that I was saying? Like, how easy do you think I am? There's always a way out because I haven't been explicit. Once you've been explicit, once you've said, let's go do this thing, you've said, let's go do this thing. When you've implied the thing, there's always a back way out. And that's another one of the benefits of the soft close and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously, when you do need to backtrack, remember to not be reactive. Remember to stay in a good mood. Because if you get defensive, it doesn't work. If you seem like confrontational or whatever, it doesn't work. If you seem like hurt, it doesn't work. So it all has to come with the right attitude as well.
honestly, like,
Oh,
I think that's the algorithm.
Played him 3 times today.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still new to this.
New to what, New York?
Yeah, New York, dating online. It's kind of scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, match with Tinder.
How new?
How new? Just met one guy, which is kind of
Like day out.
nice, but we are more friends. We sometimes share a beer, but kind of knew that the guy actually kissed me.
You never had a guy kiss you on the first date, ever?
No.
On a first? Like here or in France, ever?
I have gone out.
Kind of meet somebody
Grocery shop,
outside and we might ended up together, but not in purpose,
I've seen
online.
girls, I'm like, oh,
And
I'll talk to him. I'll do that. But like, as me, as
Well, I hope the kissing didn't disappoint.
no, I stayed. Didn't say, oh, I have to go.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Well, if you have to, you know. You have a busy Saturday?
I have to work.
Busy Saturday lab time?
Yeah,
What time?
about 9.
a.m.? I'm sorry. It's a rough life.
Same way, man.
Yeah,
I went
really
out
bad.
a couple nights.
But in 2 weeks, I will spend 4 days in Cayman Island.
I pulled
Swimming.
I fucked up a pool and then
In the sea.
What's your...
buzzing.
So you're staying in... Do you have, like, your own place? Do you have roommates?
Yeah.
This is a great example of when I'm screening for logistics. I don't just say, so, who do you live with? Or, so, what's your housing situation? I say, hey, so what's your housing situation? Do you live by yourself? Do you have roommates? Is it some kind of like crazy, weird building? Is it associated with, right? So what am I doing? I'm drawing the attention away from the fact that I'm asking a logistics question. It makes it sound a lot more like an I'm curious about you question. And it's subtle, but it matters, right? All these little things, they make maybe a 2% difference here, 5% here, but they add up. right? And so it's just one more way of avoiding potential resistance, one more way of avoiding a red flag, that kind of stuff.
How it is in your apartment?
Which one? One's better than the other.
No, I'm just playing.
One is like that. They have like the radiator and they just like turn it on certain days, don't turn it on other days.
So you already have 2 apartments.
Oh, yeah. No, you thought that was...
Like one, no, I didn't say it.
You thought I just made that?
No,
Why would I make
like
that up?
One is more your office and the other one is like where
I mean, that is kind of how it works, yeah. It's like... Alright, so the full story.
I don't know, man. I was really good.
I kind of want to like show you my life real fast and then kick you out and send you home. But whatever. That's called sneaky one past the goalie. First of all, I interrupted myself, so it seemed like a non-event. But then I said I kind of want to show you my life a little bit, and then like kick you out, send you home, and then it doesn't matter, whatever, right? So the showing her my life is less offensive than kicking her out and sending her home. So I'm putting the focus on that so that she lets the other one slide. Okay, that's called sneaky one past the goalie. Very, very useful technique to use.
Yeah, the second one is sort of like, as far as like frog and shit, like...
Do you trust me?
It's just like
So, okay, so I have to tell, actually, A, do you trust me? And B,
exactly.
if the office, if I were to take you there, was like a total mess because we just moved someone new there and it looks like a fucking bomb exploded, like, would you be like, Todd, like, why did you bring me? No, that's really bad. It's really bad. So we just like, so,
Come over here.
my office, it is an apartment thing, so it used to be my apartment. And it still is my apartment. I'm still on the lease. It's like just down the street, yeah. But then, so I moved out, and I moved my staff in, and then we use it as an office, and then I have my own little office within the office. This is called qualifying her for the close. So instead of saying, hey, I want to take you to this place, let's take you here, be like, hey, listen, if I take you here, are you going to be a pain in the ass? Hey, if I take you here, are you going to judge me? Hey, if I take you here, are you going to like X, Y, Z? And so basically, she almost has to answer that she won't to be a reasonable person. But it does two things. Number one, it makes the taking her there not the focus. But number two, it makes her feel like it's earned. Like I wouldn't take just anyone. Like she actually like lived up to some expectation in order to be invited. And I'm doing her a favor by inviting her as opposed to trying to get one over on her by inviting her. And it's a very important distinction because you want going home with you and you want sex to feel like a win for the girl rather than a loss. So it's like the whole place is just like boxes everywhere. It's fucking ridiculous.
But they are your own apartment or you rent them?
No, I don't own it. I rent it. I don't.
I want you to see my shit, right?
You're not that rich.
That's not what I was gonna say. But I was gonna say I don't think that.
You don't want to invest in your.
No. There are other things I can invest the money in better. Whatever. Anyway. No, nothing. I love the combination of like flirty then serious then flirty then serious. It's good. Because there are some girls that are like way too serious and like don't know how to be feminine and flirt. And there are some girls that are flirty but they're total ditzes and have like an IQ of like 47. And that's bad too. I appreciate the combination.
What's the average?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Average what? IQ? Like 100. Like 100's average. Genius is like 140. And then like mental retardation's like about like 65 or 70. So like 47 is like literally you couldn't function. Like that's like comatose vegetable somewhere. Like 47's bad.
But they are hot. But they were hot.
Hot little vegetables, yes. I'm not talking about my own personal whatever.
Yeah, we all made mistakes.
Wow, I didn't even say that. Way to go there. Wow. Well, for most guys, they wouldn't consider it a mistake. You know, she was hot. You know, she whatever. But no, I've never. I promise I've never slept with anyone that has an IQ of 47. It's never. That's so low. That's so low. That literally is like, that's like your dog is smarter than the person. Like at IQ 47 is really bad.
You took a test?
Huh?
You took a test?
I have. I don't want to brag.
I asked you.
I've taken a couple tests. Usually I score anywhere between like 139 and 145.
it's based on what?
A great response to a question in general, I don't want to brag, right? Because it implies the thing without, it's a very modest way of saying it. If she's like, what do you do for a living? I don't want to brag. Like, how much do you make? I don't want to brag, right? Because she's asking. So it's not obnoxious for you to say that. In fact, if anything, it's more modest than if you just told her most of the time. And then she's still going to ask, and then you're going to be forced to tell her, and it's going to be impressive. It's just a great way to make her ask a second time. It's a great way to be modest, yet still get it out there. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to show you the office, but I'm kind of like completely not tempted at the same time, because I'm like, you're going to look at it and be like, this fucking disaster, what is this shit?
I didn't ask.
You'll be like, I liked him, and then...
That's fine. I was just curious.
That's me, just curious. That's why I showed up to talk to you, just curious. To be fair, I had, like I said, I had no idea what you're going to look like. Yeah. Well, you don't care? You're just going to be a slob for me? You don't care how you look? Jeez. I thought what we had was special. I thought we really liked each other. I guess I was wrong.
To impress, yeah. I can deal with that. I'm not who I am.
Question. If you could get any one compliment from a guy, any compliment in the world, but only one, what would you want to be complimented on?
It's a tough question.
Oh no, I'm so tough, I'm sorry.
I don't know, actually. I never thought about that. So if you are asking me, that means that you already think about that. What's your comment?
I never thought of this before. Like literally, this is the first time I've ever asked the question. I could try and think of it from it. I've never thought this before. It just came up.
I think that would be spontaneous.
That's what you'd like most want to be complimented on, is that you're spontaneous?
Yeah. Like myself, spontaneous.
Really? Well, in that case, we may have to go on an adventure, just a brief one, just like so I don't have to like think badly of you at some point. But fair enough.
Because smart doesn't mean the same.
It doesn't, but yeah.
Cute neither, it's just chill.
Fair enough. Spontaneous, huh? Spontaneous, fun. Interesting.
How about you?
Okay, so I'm gonna say beautiful, but I don't mean physically.
But
I mean like...
yeah, in general, so it means a lot of things. It's not the right answer.
No, I mean like...
Oh, nice person, yeah.
No, I don't mean nice person either. I mean that I have a vision for life and what it should be, and I live my life in a way that is beauty in action. Right, so like...
Passionate?
Kind of, but it's like passionate a little bit, but it's like excellence with passion with proper focus, some kind of combination like that, right? Like Oscar De La Hoya was a famous boxer. Oscar De La Hoya, he was a world champion boxer, but he said, I like to think that if you could like paint the bottom of my shoes before a boxing match, and then I would like treat the ring as my canvas, and the way that I would move around the ring would be a form of art. Not that it's like he's trying to create a visual art, but the fact of like that it comes from the well-boxed match, whatever pattern it makes would be a beautiful pattern. So I would like
draw a map of all your trip in the US, and that's right.
I would like to think like my life is performance art. Like I've lived a beautiful life. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
One other little verbal mannerism I have, no idea where I picked it up other than from game, and it is useful in game, is that I oftentimes say, does that make sense? If that makes sense, that kind of thing. And what am I doing there? Well, anytime that I say something, if I just leave it, that was my opinion. But if I say, does that make sense? If that makes sense, those kind of things, and then she agrees, she goes, yeah, right? What's she doing? She's agreeing that it makes sense, but what she's really doing is she's agreeing with me that it's right on a certain level. So it's a great way to, you put the frame out there, you just put it out there, but when she agrees to it, now there's like, she's committed to it, that you can use that as a basis for creating future frames, as a basis for, if you're doing like a logical argument of some kind, a basis for continuing the argument, etc. So even if you look at the model that I have for hooking, focus, relevance, emotion, decision, right? If I say, does that make sense? And she says, yes, that's a decision. She acted in my benefit. She acted in agreement with my frame. And so this little verbal mannerism, it's actually annoying for me when I speak. When you guys are going to hear it in my videos now, and you'll be like, damn it, Todd says that a lot. I do. I also say it a lot with girls. And it's a habit that I've developed probably from 15 years in the game. That's really like esoteric, but whatever.
Okay, I agree with that.
Yeah?
Yeah. But I keep spontaneous.
I'm not saying that you should change it. I like spontaneous. Although when you say spontaneous, all these things I'm trying to resist doing, I feel like doing, but I'm still going to resist.
Is my hair?
No. You know. You have the funniest expressions. Like, I wish I could do it. You just did. I was
Yeah.
like,
I have my, how would you say, my eyes crossing when I'm tired, and I'm sure they do that right now.
I'm exhausted. You look alright. We did the, like, you went bug-eyed for a second, like it's like all up like that, but whatever. So, if you are super exhausted, you can totally go home. I would not hate having one more drink with you and then sending you home and hang out a little longer, but if you're exhausted, I will not be offended.
I'm okay, it's Friday.
Yeah? Okay. Come then, let's go. Most of the reason that worked was all the groundwork that was done beforehand. But one thing that I do like about it is that I said it in a way that made me seem very not attached to the outcome, and that is a big thing in game, right? If you seem very attached, you seem to have an agenda, you'll usually hear no. If you seem to not have an agenda, if you seem to be like, look, I don't care, it's up to you, I would like this, but it's your thing, that sort of format, that sort of like presentation does tend to get a better answer overall. So I just want to point that out. All right. So here comes the part where your French wine connoisseur part can come out.
What?
This is the part where your French wine connoisseur can come out, because I'm making you pick the wine for the next. Or beer if you'd like. Wine or beer.
I'm okay with wine.
Up to you.
I'm okay with wine. I really like wine, but
It's like terrible. Oh, expensive? Oh, that's no problem. That's not a problem. I thought you just like hated American wine or hated the wine here.
Like I used to pay like $3 a glass, and here it's like 10.
Alright, so I'm gonna like tell you right now.
What?
So you got like all right. So it's like right now. Whenever you're with me, this is not like me trying to be like Mr. Rich Guy or whatever, but like if there's something that's fun to do but a little more expensive, or something that sucks to do that's not as expensive, let's do the fun thing.
Okay.
I will take care of you, Miss Poor PhD college student, all right?
Thank you.
Like, I've worked hard in life so that I can have fun experiences.
Yeah.
So don't ever, like, I'm not trying to be like Mr. like whatever guy, but like if it like literally is you want to do something, but it's like, especially like a bottle of wine doesn't cost that much, right? Like,
Yeah, for you. I was not used. Okay.
Sophie, you're in my world right now, okay? Enjoy yourself.
I feel like I will like your word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I've mentioned before, but I haven't really mentioned in this clip. So here I'm trying to say, I got you on this. We'll do the bottle of wine. I'm trying to, kind of take her under my wing. At the same time, I'm trying to avoid being in the provider frame. And what you'll notice, I've mentioned this before, is my speech speeds up because I don't want to be interrupted in the middle of this. I don't want to be interrupted. I want to get the whole frame out because half of the frame could be negative, the other half of the frame could be negative, but the whole thing together is very positive. And so I want to really, really kind of make sure I get it all out. So my rhythm, my intensity actually increases with my speaking. right? And the general rule here is that your rhythm of speech should match what you're trying to do, right? If you want to not be interrupting you and get something out, you should be faster. If you want to make someone calm and relaxed, you should slow down, maybe speak more softly, that sort of thing, okay? So, like, intonation, most guys suck at it and don't use it. Rhythm, most guys suck at it and don't use it. If you learn to use the intonation and rhythm of your voice, it's going to massively help you. Well, like, so for me, for example, right? So I always liked certain classes I really liked in physics and certain classes I really didn't, right? So, like, I never liked materials. So here, as I'm walking her through the door, I start talking. And the key idea here is talking through escalation in general. When you first open a girl and you want to sit down next to her, you talk as you sit, because if you go silent as you're escalating, she notices the escalation. When you're going to touch a girl, you talk as you're touching her, because you don't want silence and touch. When you walk her into your apartment or walk her, to an elevator, into a taxi or whatever, you talk as you're escalating, because again, you don't want the focus on the escalation. It's a little thing, but it makes a big difference. So that concludes the verbal breakdown. Hope you learned a ton from it. I think there were a lot of really, really great lessons, both in terms of how to handle, the foreign nature, but also just a lot of stuff in terms of how to communicate, how to get your frame across, how to use different verbal elements. Just a good example overall. Hope you learned a lot from it, and let's get on to the next one.